Hi, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to show you how to cut a worktop when you've brought in a sink from SketchUp or something like that, which won't automatically cut the hole in the worktop for you. I'm going to show you two ways. We're going to show you how you do it with a worktop, which can work, but it can take a little bit of time. And then I'm going to show you another way where you use your own top to do a cut. So in a normal worktop, you can't do a perforation. You can when we do it with a worktop, which we create as a wood panel. So I'm going to show you both ways today. So what I've done is I've literally set up a couple of cabinets. I've already brought in a SketchUp model of a 3D sink. If we open the sink up, you'll be able to see, we click on the cupboard. Okay, I click on the cupboard and I say open, and we go down a little bit, you'll see there's the sink. Okay, so I've created this ready for us to just basically put a worktop on. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to first go and say automatic worktop. So I'm going to come over to the side over here, I'm going to pop it open, and I'm going to say worktop and insert. And you'll see that it's placed the worktop in, which is fine. There's no problem with that. The only problem is we don't have a cutout for the sink. And the problem is if we take a square panel and we're going to create, so I'm going to right click on the top so it turns yellow. If I take a block and I put a block over, okay, I'm just going to make a block quickly just to show you. So if I bring a block over, and I want to now say perforate through the material. So if I click on this and I go down, you'll see there's no perforation here. You can't do what you do with walls and things like that. It doesn't allow us. So the way to do it with a worktop is we have to actually edit the worktop itself. So the way we would have to do that is we would have to right click on the worktop, go to edit, and I'm going to make this quite big just so that we can see. You can see the rough outline of the sink here. I'm just going to pull these out a little bit just to make it look a little bit nicer for us. Just so we're going over the side panels. Okay, so you can actually see where the sink is situated over here. So the way to do it, and yes, it is a little bit of a long-winded way, but it looks nice when it's finished, is you come up here and you click on the nodes or your vertex, and you're going to click several vertexes. Now I'm going to put a few in. I can always delete them afterwards if I don't use all of them, but it's sometimes easier than going backwards and forwards all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one up a little bit into where the sink will be, and I'm going to pull this one across. And then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to pull it as if roughly where I want the sink to be. And then I'm going to come all the way back here, do the same, and I'm just lining them up like that. And then this one, I'm literally just going to pull and line up like that. And then this one here, I'm just going to join on that one. So I've basically made an opening with inside my worktop. In fact, what I'm going to do, I don't need that one there, so we can remove that one. Now when I say OK, and we go back in, we can see that I've already started to get the hole in the worktop. Now I can see I need to just make this a bit wider so that we don't see it through the sink. So again, I'm going to click on the top, I'm going to come in, and now I can actually see roughly what I'm looking at. Let's zoom in. I'm going to click on this. I'm literally just going to drag this a little bit bigger. Let's make this bigger like that so it's easier to see. I'm going to pull this down to about there. So I don't want it to snap right close. And we need to move this one that way a little bit. Like that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, from what I can see is we just need to make this one a little bit bigger, the space. So I'm just going to go back in. Zoom in. So what I'm going to do is click on here. I'm going to pull this one a little bit bigger. Like that. So now I've made it bigger. There we go. That's perfect. And if I open the doors, and we go down, there's our sink. So that's how you would do a cutout in a sink. Yes, you will have a join over here. You can always do it at the back, but when you render it, you're not going to see that join. So at least it just shows it as if it's one piece with a cutout. What you can also do is obviously you can go inside to the window as well if you wanted to. Again, if you've never done that, it's literally doing exactly what we've just done. Make it a bit bigger. So what you would do here is you would put some nodes. So we'll click back on here. We'll add a couple of nodes. Add one there, and here, one there. And then what you can do is you can literally just line this up with the window. Pull this back, it's almost the same. Pull that in. I'm just going to pull it into the window slightly. Like that. And if we say OK, you'll see now that it's pulled it into the window. And when you do your render, it'll look like your worktop has gone into the window like that. Okay, so that's the one way of doing it. Yes, it is a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit faffy, but it works. It looks nice and it'll look good when you're finished with it. The second way to do it, and this is another way that you can go in and do it, you can come up to the rectangle tool, come over and right click on your cabinet so that it's going to turn yellow like that. And now you can draw your rectangle across. Right click and then come back up here and select it. Okay, once you've selected it, make it the same thickness as we had before, which was 30 millimeters. So now we can see the sink. And we can actually go in and we can adjust the worktop exactly the same way as we did with the other one. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to right click on that top. I'm going to come down to here where it says convert to horizontal panel. Okay. So I've now converted that into a horizontal panel. I'm going to come across to the toolbar, and where it says kitchen over here, I'm just going to make that top. And also, once you've done that, it automatically knows that you're going to want this into your costing. So now I'm going to right click. I'm going to come into edit. Okay. And it works exactly the same way. So now we can go in, we can edit this. I'm just going to pull this like this just to finish it off. And you know what we could do? If we really wanted to, we could actually do that window here as well. So what you could do is again come up, add a couple of nodes, or vertexes, I call them nodes. I pull this back to here, pull that up into the window slightly, pull that down, and then this one will go into the window like that. So basically what I've done now is I've created what we had before with the worktop. I've just used a panel. Now what we can do is we need to obviously cut a hole into the material. So there's two options. We can do that, but first let's make the material. I'm using the Caesar stone and I'm going to use the raw concrete like we did on the previous one. And I'm just going to drag it over and select that so it's easier to see. Okay, so we've now got our concrete in, we've got our look that we want. And what we're now going to do is we're going to cut a hole for the sink. So the way to do that is we're going to come up here. We're going to right click on the top so it goes yellow. Once it's yellow, I can come in and I can draw a box. Okay. Doesn't matter what size the box is, as long as you've got a box to work with, we can click on it. And now when we click on the box, I can move this box to whatever size I need. I can just have a look and see. If I want, I can just bring this in slightly, bring it in something like that. That looks fine. It's covering the area where I need to cut a hole. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down a little bit. So I'm going to make it at 850 because our material is 30 mil. So if I take it down to 850 like that, right click on it, now I can perforate. Perforate it through, and now you've got your sink with a hole cut through perfectly. And if we open the cupboard doors, the sink and everything is there. So I hope this has helped. This is a quick way of of how to cut tops or work with worktops when you've brought in a 3D model from something like SketchUp. The whole idea is to hopefully make it a bit easier on how you do it. Obviously, a SketchUp model hasn't got the same characteristics as the Promob model of a sink. It doesn't understand that it needs to cut through a worktop, but there are ways around it. So if you find a sink or something where you need to cut around from another source, that's the way that you would do it. So I hope this video has helped, and I'll be adding more of these as we go along. Thank you for your time, and see you on the next one.